My son and his wife's home needed repairs. Before living together, we had a good relationship. The problem came when his wife wouldn't follow the home rules. They're pretty simple, like cleaning up after yourself, not being loud at night, and the big one was no drinking in the home. No alcohol in the home. We made this clear, and my son knows his mother has trauma related to alcohol. We informed daughter-in-law in general terms also. The first few months seemed fine, and it worsened when the weather got cold. We couldn't prove it then, but we were sure they were drinking. It came to a head when cleaning. My wife found wine in the attic. She was angry and poured it out. Apparently, it was a $300 bottle, and it caused a huge fight between her and daughter-in-law. We let them stay until the renovations were done, and they've been out 2 weeks ago. The relationship has been tense, and I figured we needed time apart. My son met up with me and told us we couldn't see our grandkids anymore, and that the incident made him rethink our relationship. I told him that was BS. He knew the one big rule in the home and caused stress to his mother, my wife. He told me it was final, and I told him if he goes through with this, he'll be out of the will. This started another argument, and he was angry at me. Am I the idiot for making it clear that if the son keeps the grandkids away, he will not be getting any inheritance? Edit. The wine was open. Not the idiot. Don't know why everyone thinks it's acceptable to be so dependent on alcohol and that being asked not to drink for a little while is a crime. You were kind enough to invite them to stay in your home and gave them some rules to follow. You didn't even kick them out when they didn't follow them. If there was some special reason for them to keep that expensive wine in the house, such as we didn't want it to get stolen during the renovations, then they should have discussed that with you rather than hiding it. They punished you because they refused to follow a couple of simple rules. Your son and his wife are being massively entitled here. My thing is, if they wanted to drink, they could have gone to a bar or a restaurant or even a friend's house. I assume they're both of legal drinking age, so that shouldn't be a problem. Like seriously, if you want to drink so badly, go out to dinner and have a nice bottle at the restaurant. If you can afford a $300 bottle of wine, you can surely afford a decent dinner out. Daughter-in-law is an idiot for bringing alcohol into your home when it was forbidden. If the daughter-in-law couldn't abide by that rule for a few months, she has a drinking problem, which makes it unlikely she's spending $300 on a bottle of wine. I'm amazed if she had a $300 bottle of wine in your home, despite her claim, because people who appreciate fine wine aren't going to hide it in the attic. There's a reason people have wine cellars and not wine attics. Yeah, one thing I can agree on is that people don't hide expensive bottles in attics. I'm sorry, but I think the $300 bottle of wine was really $30. Unless you're richy rich, a $300 bottle of wine would be saved for a special event, like graduating college, the night you get engaged, your honeymoon. I just can't imagine anyone who has to stay with their parents while their home is being repaired, sneaking a $300 bottle of wine into the attic. These are all draconian responses to conflict here. Your wife didn't need to empty the bottle. This was the first offense, and it could have been a serious conversation or warning. You are the idiot, OP. Your entire story was just escalation after escalation. There has to be more history here because, in a vacuum, the entire thing is ridiculous. This is one of those stories where it feels very murky and one-sided, and I feel like hearing the son or daughter-in-law side would shed a whole new light on this. Taking away access to grandkids over a bottle of wine? Bet there are other reasons OP isn't telling us. Me thinks OP is only telling selective bits of the situation. This whole thing screams missing reasons. Update. I called my sister and asked her to tell me to track down the price of the wine. My wife sent me a picture of the bottle when this happened. You were right. It wasn't $300, but around $25. I decided to talk to my son and find out why she lied. I had a conversation after I sent a text saying that the bottle was only $25. During the argument, when that price came out, daughter-in-law thought my wife poured out all the wine. There was a case up there worth $300. My son removed it when he realized she just found the one left out and went with the price, instead of informing us that there was more wine. Also, my wife was cleaning because we were trying to make a space for a new Christmas tree to fit in storage, the attic. She wasn't going through daughter-in-law's stuff in the guest room. This was the attic. I don't know what else to tell you. That's what happened. Our relationship was good before the wine incident. If our relationship was bad, we wouldn't have let them stay, and I don't think they would have wanted to stay. I recently went on a holiday to Japan with my son, pre-tween, and whilst we were there, he tried some delicious biscuits, which he really wanted to buy and share with his classmates once he got back. Obviously, I was happy to purchase some additional and found it really sweet that he wanted to share with everyone. I didn't think about it at the time of purchase, since we were mid-holiday in a different country. However, when we were back and I was packing my son's bag for his first day back at school, I suddenly remembered that he had one classmate, let's call him Joe, who has a gluten allergy and wouldn't be able to eat these biscuits. But it was too late for me to do anything about this, and shops were closed, so I wouldn't be able to buy an alternative. Plus, they wouldn't be from Japan anyway, and would be from the local supermarket. I also wouldn't have had the time to pick up any in the morning because I work full-time. Son was happy bringing them to school and said everyone also enjoyed them. However, I got an angry phone call from Joe's mom saying that I shouldn't have let my son bring in those biscuits, knowing that her son would be excluded. She said that I should cater to allergies, especially children's allergies, which I would understand if it was, for example, a life-threatening peanut allergy. But should gluten intolerance be treated with the same extreme caution? I'm not sure if I was the idiot for still allowing my son to bring in the biscuits, despite my knowing one kid wouldn't be able to have any. Edit. I know about Joe's intolerance because it's happened before with other parents bringing in classroom snacks and events. Joe would not eat any of the snacks brought in unless they've been made 100% sure there's no gluten in them. And when there's been a school event, I think they always have something separate for him. For the biscuits my son brought in, the ingredients were in Japanese, so the teacher let Joe know and he didn't have any. Not the idiot. I'm celiac. My 5-year-old is also. And even if you sent something gluten-free in for him, I wouldn't have allowed my son to eat it. The risk is too much. I make sure that my son has high-value snacks with his teacher, just for this scenario. You can't exclude or include every allergy and scenario. There are egg allergies, soy allergies, etc. So it's up to the parents of these kids to make sure they have safe treats on hand. I love people who think that the world is spinning around them. It's a nice gesture to bring sweets from Japan. It's also nearly impossible to buy something gluten-free even in Tokyo. And even if you get something from one of the few bakeries, it's not so tasty. Trust me. If the kid has an allergy, the mom should explain that he has to be careful and not eat contaminated products. Saying that it's your fault and your son shouldn't have brought sweets because of the allergies of one kid, it's so unfair. It was a move like this. I demanded the school shop have only gluten pastries because my son couldn't buy stuff in it. I'd make 99 people miserable to not make one sad. I think you are the idiot. You did think about this issue the night before. I think it would have been best to go to a shop in the morning, or if it wasn't possible, hold off on sending the treats to school until you had a chance to buy a substitute for Joe. It wouldn't matter that it wasn't from Japan. Kids want treats, and it's hard to watch the other kids all eat treats while you just sit there. Finally, I'm all for Joe's mom advocating for him. I, 47 male, have one child, a daughter, Nyla, 19. My wife and I did well for ourselves, so we've been financially supporting her and caring for her child, a female preschooler, since she's been in a university. While she's away at college, we help pay for her tuition and car insurance and give her a decent amount of money every month to focus on her studies stress-free while she's away. Along with that, we care and provide for her daughter. Nyla goes to school a few hours away, and our nephew was visiting this area and saw her at a local club as a pole girl. She asked him not to tell us, but he did so anyway. I confronted her, and she tried to deny it, but admitted she's been doing this for the past few months. I asked her why, and basically, short answer is, she's not responsible with the money we're giving her, and shopping's more important. I then threatened to cut her off financially because, 1, I disapprove of my only daughter doing this kind of work, and 2, she's making money of her own and isn't being responsible with ours. 3, hiding it from us and not sending any back to help Kimberly. She began to cry and begged me not to. She said it wasn't fair, that she was an adult and could do as she pleased, but still needed help. My wife thinks I'm being too harsh and that we should give her a smaller amount of money each month. Am I the idiot? You are the idiot, and you should really take a step back and look at the whole picture that the last 19 years of parenting have created for your daughter. She got pregnant as a young teen. You take over all financial and active care of the child, and then just free your daughter from any and all responsibility, and then send her off to school and throw more money at the situation. Now you're shocked she's an exotic dancer? Barring some crazy stuff that happened to her that you've not filled in for context, you and your wife don't sound like productive parents. I disagree. OP's daughter is an adult, and it's been a privilege for her to receive the help she had. I wish I had that support. It's your money, and she's an adult. You are not the idiot. She doesn't get to waste someone else's money on shopping and then whine when that money is gone, especially since she's an adult who can do what she wants, as she claims. She can't have it both ways. She's an adult, but she's still a teenager, and I'm sure she doesn't know how to manage her finances yet. OP, would you be okay with her doing some waitressing or whatever for extra shopping money? Is she making enough to cover what you currently give her? Would you cut her off and expect her to cover all those bills if she had a part-time job you approved of? Also, has the kid's father been paying child support all along? If you and your wife are tired of providing everything for your granddaughter, why not start by going after the deadbeat dad? All good questions. I can't help wondering whether OP is not as disgusted with his nephew for visiting such clubs, or if that's just a normal thing guys do. OP, you are the idiot, because she has a job and you're having a tantrum about it. If she's doing fine at school, you should be proud she's managing a job and school. I've been with my girlfriend for around 2 years. Last year, I had plans to go away for the weekend to see friends from university that I hadn't seen in over a year and a half. It was something I was really looking forward to. Once I got there, things were great until the next morning when my girlfriend proceeded to keep messaging me, saying she thought I was cheating and just starting an argument over nothing. It ruined the weekend, and I ended up cutting it short. She kept apologizing when I got back, saying it's just insecurities since she's been cheated on in the past, etc. I have plans to go away with the same friends in a couple of weeks for 3 nights. I'm excited for it, since I haven't seen them since then. My girlfriend said she would miss me, and I just mentioned that she couldn't do what she did the last time. She asked what I mean, and I just mentioned that the last time I went away with friends, she deliberately started arguments, and that if she did the same thing again, we'd be over. She said I was bringing up the past for no reason, but I just repeated that I was looking forward to the weekend, and if she does the same thing again, then we will be finished. She said I was out of order for giving her an ultimatum, and it's like I don't trust her. She said I shouldn't have brought it up. Am I the idiot for giving her an ultimatum? Not the idiot. You didn't give her an ultimatum. You set a boundary and a consequence, and based on her past behavior, both were reasonable. And this is coming from an old lady who's old enough to be your grandmother. I will also add that if your girlfriend is this insecure, before you let things get super serious, she needs to get into therapy, because the fact is that you can't be responsible for her peace of mind. You humanly cannot possibly be responsible for that. She has to learn how to trust again. She has to process what has happened to her in the past. And while yes, anyone who's been cheated on tends to be a little more cautious, It does not excuse ruining your SO's trip with his friends. And unfortunately, if she doesn't get help, it'll only get worse. And yes, I am speaking from experience. As much as I loved my second husband, this broke us up. I had a friend whose girlfriend was so far up his butt, controlling him, that my husband had to schedule play dates. Or, as I used to say, our friend was our child in the divorce because we had to set specific days to see him. It was pathetic. Now he's not our friend because he got tired of her controlling behavior. What she did during the first trip was a way to spoil it, making you come home early and keep you away from your friends. It also discourages you from going out again. I bet you $100 she would do it again, and that's why she's mad that you set a boundary. Don't let her isolate you just to keep her happy. It'll make you feel miserable staying in the relationship if she refuses help. My wife, 34, and I, 32 male, have a toddler son. He's a curious and smart little boy, but he doesn't talk. I know he can speak, but he does so very sparsely. He can go days in a row without saying anything. It's very concerning to me, especially since he doesn't have hearing problems and can communicate non-verbally. E.g., he makes faces, claps, thumbs up, down, shakes his head, etc. I've spoken to my wife about this. She thinks he takes after her. My wife is a quiet, reserved woman with a low, soft voice. She's never the first to speak up and doesn't socialize with anyone unless they initiate it. Our house is very quiet as well. I make about 90% of the noise. My son started attending preschool this year, and his teacher has expressed the same concern. She suggested I take him to a speech therapist. I talked it over with my wife, and we took him to our pediatrician. He said quite a few words and passed the hearing test again. The doctor doesn't think anything is wrong, but gave us a referral for further evaluation. My wife thought it was unnecessary and refused to book an appointment. However, I did and didn't tell her. Unfortunately, I missed the confirmation call, and they called my wife instead. She ended up canceling the appointment and accused me of breaking her trust. She wants to pull our son out of preschool and has left our son at her mom's for the past few days. I feel I was acting responsibly, but she interpreted it as an attack. I think she was unintentionally neglectful too. Not the idiot. Early intervention is the best kind. Your wife needs to let go of her pride and let your son have his assessment done. If he doesn't need it, great. But if he does, you can now get it all rolling. Me and my hubby are concerned our little one has some sensory issues. Her doctor blew it off, so we booked privately. I'd rather have it done and be told everything is cool than ignore it for longer, and then getting help is more challenging. Your wife probably feels responsible for his delay since he takes after her. Tell her you are not looking for a problem. Rather, you're seeking confirmation there is no problem. And read to your child. Young kids need to hear lots of words. Since your wife doesn't talk much and he's not talking back, I can see how it might feel weird to talk at him, but do it anyway. He needs to soak it up. My child didn't talk much at 3 either, and she was sent to a speech therapist. I'm very quiet too, and she seemed fine to me, but I followed the advice of her doctor and teacher. I diligently took her to all of her appointments and did her homework with her. Eventually, she started talking more. She's now a fully functional, employed, married adult who was just diagnosed as neurodivergent, and so am I. But with a speech therapist, my daughter at least can learn new coping skills and get help. I feel guilty about not getting her proper help earlier, but she was just like me, so I thought she was fine. Congratulations on doing what's right for your child. Early diagnosis and treatment are very important for social development and mental health.